Welcome back to the GameLink podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Lebbi, and as always, I'm joined by my friend Elmer. He is right there. He's remote today, having some more car troubles, but that's okay. Um,
It just feels
honestly,
par for the course with this movie. So,
yeah, I was gonna say I don't think this movie would have been worth your time and gas to get down here anyway. So, um, but yeah, so today, actually, my mic is a little quiet. Sorry, let me turn myself up a little bit. Oh, there we go. All right. That's better. Okay. So now that you can hear me, today we're going to be talking about Need for Speed, starring Aaron Paul or Jesse Pinkman. Um, but before we start to unpack this, how have the last 2 weeks been for you, Elmer?
a train wreck like this, or sorry, a car wreck like this film. Not a lot of good, not a lot of bad, just a whole lot of middling mediocrity. And dear God, I am once again happy to see your smiling, shining face and to be able to bullshit with you about some shitty movies while getting intoxicated. So, yeah, no, I really wish I could have made it down there today because it would have made it all the more worth it. But simultaneously, life gets in the way. So, hey, at least I got my furnace working. That's one thing that's worth it.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, we're in Minnesota. It's starting to finally get cold here, so furnace is important. You watch anything good or
Uh,
last
oh,
couple weeks?
yeah, no, on Friday night, we actually went and we saw Wakanda Forever, the new Black Panther film. And, well, I admit, I was not looking forward to it because, well, anything to do with Marvel movies these days feels like a chore. But no, I will say that was actually a pretty good movie.
Okay.
And here I'm just like, why the hell do I want to see the Marvel version of Aquaman get his ass kicked on screen? But oh man, seeing the Marvel version of Aquaman get his ass kicked on screen, that was great.
Well, I'll take your word for it. I'm not much of a superhero movie fan, but
I
um,
still keep telling you, man, you gotta watch The Boys because oh god, you would be loving every single second of that with all the
oh
barbs and
boy.
jokes and points they put at that series. But I guess I will say also on a little bit of a somber note, which I know is part of a big part of our childhood growing up, you and I, as well as it being somewhat of a video game aspect to it. Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman from the animated series from when we were kids, as well as the voice from the Rocksteady Arkham Asylum games, just passed away on Thursday of cancer. I had the rare
Oh.
fortune of being able to meet him a few years back. And everything you hear online about him being the sweetest, nicest, just best person ever is completely right. Just a little bit of a moment of silence, a little pouring out of the 40s, as well as just, further remembrance of our good friend Kevin Conroy here.
Rest in peace.
Rest in power, buddy. Yeah.
Well, on a lighter note, the last couple weeks for me has been good. I've watched a lot of stuff. Um, let's see. I so first of all, I've played Sonic Frontiers, a lot of it, and I won't do a full review here, but I'll say I like it, but it's a Sonic game, so there's a lot of problems to work out. But I think that
I want that pull quote. It's a Sonic game.
it's a Sonic game. I mean, I think that if they had spent another 6 months on it, maybe it would have been a lot better. But who knows?
So what you're saying
Um,
is that the method to the madness of making a Sonic game is you don't go fast?
and that's the thing. At times in this one, you don't feel like you're going fast at all. But I'll get into that on another day. Because the new God of War also came out, which I haven't actually played yet because I'm waiting till payday to buy it, just so I can be a little bit more responsible with my money. But I'm really excited for that one. I've heard nothing but great things about that one.
You sound like me with Dark Tide, so you know what? We're on the same page there.
um, Also, let's see, what did I watch? Oh man, I watched something that I knew you were. Oh, Clerks 3. I finally watched Clerks
Oh,
3. And at first, it was kind of making me mad, but then it got good at the end. I won't spoil anything for you guys, but I'll just say it's like it's Kevin Smith's excuse to make a movie to make himself cry.
I was going to say it's Kevin Smith's reason to have a midlife crisis, but yeah, that too.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you've seen this, Elmer, but like he'll post a pic on Twitter of him like crying, and he'll be like, "Oh, just got out of this movie. Like it made me cry. It was so good."
Please tell me he's wearing some kind of a hockey jersey and jorts while I picture that
No, I
perfectly.
think he's just in a black jacket, but yeah, he's done that I think a few times where he just posts himself crying about a movie, and it's like, bro, keep it together.
Wait. Kevin Smith now. Skinny Kevin Smith with a slight
Hmm.
beard goatee combo, receding hairline, some kind of a hat, a black blazer, and occasionally with glasses on.
Yeah.
Oh my God, is he turning into Doug Walker, the Celtics?
He needs to remake Kikassia.
Oh God. Is it bad that that might actually someday might be an Academy Award-winning film just because it was the meeting of the minds of so many people that helped to change the critic mediaship as we know it, as well as
I
be the
I hope not.
yeah.
But
I say those words out loud, and as much as it makes me laugh and it makes me think of, oh, that's the movie we should be talking about. Weird. How the hell haven't we talked about Weird yet?
oh yeah, weird. That movie was freaking awesome.
As somebody who
Anyone?
normally hates, oh, sorry, I'll let you go first.
I
My
was just gonna
apologies.
say anyone who hasn't seen it yet or heard about it yet. It's Daniel Radcliffe plays Weird Al Yankovic, and uh, it's kind of like a biopic, but it's very like tongue in cheek. like I don't know. It's obviously not like a true account of events, but it's
Like
great.
UHF, Weird Al Yankovic's previous film, like the Weird Al Yankovic show, his previous other sort of, you know, live media series that he did, as well as all of his music, everything he's ever written, and as like, actually on the page, when he did his short-term podcast, like everything else Weird Al has ever done, tongue is firmly in cheek and it is satirical. Actually, no, it goes beyond satirical. It's full-on parody.
Yeah,
I hate musical biopic movies. To this day, La Bamba is still the only really one I like until Weird Al's Weird came out. And I admit, I fucking love that movie. If you're like me, where every time you sit down to watch a biopic and I'm just like, oh, great, here's Rami Malek, looking for Need for Speed, playing Freddie Mercury. Oh, is this the scene where he thinks Bohemian Rhapsody, or We Will Rock You, or We Are the Champions, or, oh, hey, here's Taron Egerton playing Elton John. Oh, is this the part where he gets inspired to write Yellow Brick Road while watching The Wizard of... If you're like me and you hate that, it is brilliant with what they're able to do in Weird
yeah,
because
yeah. It
it presses
was
that button hard.
it was great. It was definitely great. We can't spoil it at all, but oh man, I'm definitely rewatching that one soon.
Oh, speaking of Aaron Paul, though, it is funny. Did you ever see which the people who produced this film was Will Ferrell with not Something Rotten,
Funny or
funnyordie.com. It's
Die,
actually,
yeah.
yeah, Funny or Die. Did you ever see the original faux trailer they did back in the day for the Weird movie?
Yeah. It was like a skit that they did for Funny or Die, and then they decided to make it into a whole movie. Yeah.
Which I admit, as much as I love Daniel Radcliffe on this, and I'm so glad they went with him, I still laugh my ass off every time I see that with Olivia Wilde as Madonna, Aaron Paul as Weird Al. Where in this it was Daniel Radcliffe, like we said, and then it was, oh crap, I just got her name from Westworld, which is hilarious because she's now been on Westworld with Aaron Paul as well. Ah, crap, I forget her name off the top of my head. I'm so sorry, everybody who's screaming it at their car stereo or at their TV set or computer right now as they're watching this. But the one thing where I'm like, look, I love Rainn Wilson. I really do. I still wish they would have gone with the Funny or Die sketch. Patton Oswalt as Dr. Demento is one of the most inspired choices
Oh
I've
yeah,
ever seen.
but I did love Rainn Wilson as Dr. Demento. Uh,
Brilliant.
Because I don't know if you remember, actually, Elmer. Back in the day, I actually used to have like a Dr. Demento album that I would listen to.
Oh, I do. Because of you inspiring me with that, I would turn into 91 point or 98.5 on Sundays and listen to the actual Dr. Demento show back in the day. So yes, I'm well aware.
Yeah, yeah, no, that was great. So, yeah, definitely recommend that movie. Let's see what else happened this last couple weeks. I don't know if you heard about the whole drama between id Software and Mick Gordon.
I was well aware of that during the drama they were having after they decided to basically cut him off while working on Doom Eternal. Why? What else has come out?
Well, a few days ago, he like made this tweet about how they've been like slandering him and basically blaming everything on him, and then offered him like six figures to shut up about it and never talk about it again. And so he said, "Go to hell," and he like made a whole like 5-6 page like documentation of everything that happens, all the work that he did that he didn't get paid for, and like all this stuff. For anyone that doesn't know Mick Gordon, he's the composer of the music for the new Doom games, and he's like a kind of like a master of his craft. He makes some really good stuff. He basically made like 4 hours of music for them and only got paid for two, and then like somebody else edited the music and like ruined it, and then when people were upset, they basically just threw him under the bus. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. You can definitely look it up and read about it if you want. But I thought that was interesting since we recently talked about Doom.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm back and forth on that. I kind of kept up on that after around the time that Doom Eternal came out, just because they put it on the back burner from being originally released in November of 2019. They put it back till March of 2020 there. Knowing how much extra time Gordon had on that, it did kind of sound like that he decided, oh, hey, I'm going to go back. I'm going to re-record this, and this. And he kind of took his time on it. And then finally, when they were in the final time crunch, it sounded like that they were like, hey, we need to kind of speed this up a little bit and get onto it, was when he kind of went, well, no, By the way it sounded to me, at least from what some of the reading I did, he was like, well, no, because of how important BFG Division was to the first Doom game from 2016, I still think I get a full-on say what's going to happen here. And they're
Well,
like, if you don't kind of speed this up contractually, we have to release the game. We'll just get somebody else in here to actually do the
so
mix.
I think that's part of the rumor, actually, Elmer. Maybe and who's to say, really? It's kind of like a he said, they said thing,
Oh,
but
definitely.
apparently he was asking for more time from the beginning and left in the dark on pretty much everything, and only given
Ooh.
2 years to make, you know, you know, 4 hours worth of music. It takes bands years to make a 10 album or 10 song album. So
Chinese democracy.
it's crazy. If you guys are interested in that, I'm by no means an expert. I think I watched like a 5-minute YouTube video about it and just got all worked up. But
Oh, yeah.
that's some drama happening over on Twitter, which we're not going to get into the Twitter stuff either. But
Yeah, let's leave Elmo Musk out of this too tonight. We don't need to add any more drama to that situation.
Yeah.
And let's put it this way: I'm playing devil's advocate here because trust me, I mean, I hope at my funeral they play BFG Division as my coffin is being lowered into the ground. So
That
que
song-
sera, sera.
that song is iconic. But so also, it was kind of some like gaming historians dug up something interesting. So back in the day, like I'm guessing the 90s, Sega was developing a live action erotic thriller game called Sacred Pools. This was in 1996. Gaming historians found this on the internet somewhere or on Sega's server somewhere or something, and they published a playable version of it online. um, but don't worry, it's not sexy at all. Apparently, it's not even as sexy as Night Trap, which wasn't sexy. Um, so look up Sacred Pools if you're kind of a nostalgia or like a gaming history nerd. I just looked at a few screenshots and yeah, it looks pretty bad. But
Oh, Sacred Fools. Oh.
let's see. Also, everyone's pissed at Square Enix again because they announced something called like, gosh, I can't remember what it was called, but it was something to do with Parasite Eve. So everyone was thinking that they were like rebooting Parasite Eve, um, and we're getting all excited, and then Square announces, no, it's not a game. It's a non fungible token endeavor that they're investing in, where basically you buy like uh, experiences as NFTs, and they're promising like a whole like community around this stuff and to be well supported. And it's like, how do you promise a community? How do you make that a selling point of a thing that doesn't exist yet? So everyone's really mad at them, which good. They shouldn't waste their time or money on this shit. And in my opinion, it makes them look foolish.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought you were gonna say that they're gonna go the Konami track and make a pachinko game that had to deal with Parasite Eve, and then you said the only thing on this planet that's even dumber than them just making a pachinko game version of it. And I'm just like, well, there goes the last of my faith in the international community.
Yeah, it's pretty upsetting. But in other news, I don't know if you've heard they're making a Last of Us live series. I think it's on HBO
Pedro
with Nick
Pascal as
Offerman.
Joel.
Yeah.
Wait, Nick Offerman? Who's Nick Offerman in it?
Nick Offerman, he plays. Oh gosh, I can't remember who they said he plays, but he's not like one of the main characters, I think, but he's in it.
But no, the Mandalorian himself, slash the rich fucker from Unbearable Weight of Talent, the great Pedro Pascal, aka
Oh yeah.
the España version of Nathan Fillion. Which both Nathan Fillion and him joke about that is Nathan Fillion goes, hey, look, it's the Spanish version of me. And then Pedro Pascal goes, look, it's the Canadian version of me. So, no, they laugh at each other all the time. But, yes, no, I love me some Pedro Pascal. And, no, I'm actually kind of excited for this.
Yeah, no, I couldn't finish the first game. I never even touched the second one. But I do really like zombie stuff, and I am really excited about this. So I think that'll be a good one to talk about. Maybe we'll do a whole thing on the podcast for that.
Well, someone who has access to HBO Max, I mean, come on, I'm the one who's going to be supplying it for us. So of course,
it's true. I refuse to pay for HBO Max. But also, there's a new animated series coming to Netflix for Dragon Age.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's got to be better than the web series Felicia Day made back in 2011.
You did?
You didn't know about that? Felicia Day made a Dragon Age web series back like 10, 11 years ago. Yeah, I've only seen clips of it, but it looks low budget. I mean, it was around the time of like, Legend of Neil and the Guild and all that stuff. So really low budget, cheesy acting.
Was it better or worse than the Dead Rising series with Rob Riggle?
What? I haven't heard about that.
Crackle exclusive, my friend. Crackle exclusive.
Okay, I love Rob Riggle.
I do too.
We might have to watch this. it's got to be
covered wars, It's just like, well, you fought in wars, Rob Riggle. So yes, no, I believe you.
Oh, that's awesome. I should download that. Okay, but yeah, no, that's all the news I have. We can finally start talking about Need for Speed. Okay.
Do we have
So,
to?
wait, what?
I said, do we have to?
Well, not about the movie yet. I'm going to talk about the game first.
I know, but can we speed this along for another 20, 40 minutes, to really kind of cover all the bases?
Well, we're really trying not to make this a short episode because of our thoughts on the movie and the amount of stuff I could find about the first Need for Speed game. But there's a lot of Need for Speed games, and I'm sure everyone listening has probably at least played one. And if you hadn't, there's got to be one in the series that'll be fun for you, even if you're not a racing game fan. But first, I guess let's start. What's your favorite Need for Speed game, Elmer? Because I know you've played a bunch of them.
Hot Pursuit 1 and 2 on the original PC, just because the graphics engine, as well as just with the actual speed of the RAM card in terms of how well you're able to actually capture some of those people that are on the road. Those games introduced the use of the spike strip. And let's put it this way.
Yeah.
I am not a person who is full on Blue Lives Matter or anything like that. Not saying there's anything wrong with that or anything like that. All I'm saying is, though, I will say those games trying to catch those people speeding at high speeds on the highway was so much fun back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. That whole like cop versus criminal dynamic. They definitely have used that in a lot of games since. But yeah, that was like the one that really hit home. And I guess I should mention. So we recently watched a video by this guy called Noodle on YouTube. He is like an animator. He's really funny and does a lot of research. He made a whole video about the Need for Speed series, like as a whole, and he really gets into some depth on each one. So I definitely recommend people look up that video. Maybe I'll put it in the YouTube description if you're watching this on YouTube. But watch his video because it's a great time. Um, but yeah, he was talking about in that game how they recorded so many lines and stuff for the police, where you could actually like hear them starting to get like pissed off the more you evaded them, or like they had their own like police code in the game that you would hear over your police scanner. So if you played enough of it, you could figure out what they were communicating to plan to do, just by like their codes and stuff, and you could avoid them just by learning what they're talking about. So it's like Need for Speed is really cool. They put a lot of effort into some weird things sometimes, but it really makes it fun. Um, I think my favorite has to be Underground, and Underground 2, I suppose. But Underground, it was like I think like 2006, where the whole thing was like you'd get like consumer grade, like consumer level cars, and then spend your money to upgrade them and like slam them, put neon under them, get it all dubbed out. So
Needless
I
to
don't think.
say, listeners, 2006 was around the time that Lebbi and I started getting our learner's permits, so that might have had something to do with why getting entry-level vehicles and be able to soup them up might have suited his interests more than mine.
Yeah, I really like those games, and if they do a remaster of anything, I think that should be it because they haven't really brought that mechanic back for the games. I mean, like they have brought things similar, but not to like the level of of Underground. But there is a new Need for Speed game coming out soon.
Wait. You're telling me one of the highest earning members of an EA franchise is getting a new edition in the year of our Lord 2022?
Yeah, no, a new
No.
game. I know it's crazy, right? Who would ever expect? But no, they're coming out with a new game called Need for Speed Unbound, and it kind of looks. If you've ever seen Need for Speed Heat, it's kind of like this cyberpunk-ish, like neon aesthetic. Um, it kind of does some of that, like some of the Need for Speed Underground customization stuff, but this Unbound that's coming out kind of looks like a cross between Underground and Heat. So I think it's going to be right up my alley at least. But
Okay, I'm sorry, but Unbound? I mean that's on the same level as like retribution, resurrection, and like regurgitation in terms of using as like a synonym or not a synonym, but at least like a an adjective for your film
Yeah,
or video game subtitle.
I'll have to send you a trailer for it because yeah, Unbounded is kind of a stupid name. I have no idea what that means, but I think they're like going with a whole new like art style and stuff where it looks more like almost cell shaded, like a comic book style art.
I was about to joke with you. Oh God, does it look like fucking Fortnite? And then you said, "Oh no, it's cell shaded." And I'm just like, "Well, there goes my faith in humanity."
Yeah,
Oh,
it like I'm not doing it justice. It looks good. It looks fun. I'm looking forward to it. Actually, it looks like a home run. But we'll see because that's what people are saying about the new Sonic game right now. I have no idea. It's rated higher than like Metal Gear Solid 5. Like it has an 8.9 Metacritic score. And I mean it's
higher than the actual what is it? The pain?
Max Payne.
No. Higher than the Metal Gear Solid 5. That's Phantom Pain, right?
Oh yeah. Phantom Pain. Yeah, no, it has an 8.9 on Metacritic, which, to be fair, it is one of the best Sonic games we've had in a long time. It might even be the best 3D Sonic game, but it
But
it
again,
doesn't.
but I was gonna say, but then again, you're also just the best 3D Sonic game. That's
Yeah, it's a low bar. No, like I said, I think the best way I can describe it is the game doesn't feel complete. Though I am having a lot of fun with it. I played like 14 hours of it already. I still haven't beaten it, but I'm really close. So I definitely do recommend people to play it. Um,
but
of
still
course,
better than the or better than Phantom Pain though, because I played a shitload of the Phantom Pain,
it
and that game was
it's
fucking awesome.
ridiculous.
So.
Well, everyone they finally get like a halfway decent 3D Sonic experience, and so they're pumped about it. I get it, but they're giving it too much credit, I think. But
Why do you have to keep using verbs that are euphemisms for masturbation? Talking about a Sonic game, though, for the people that are playing it, because that's just why I'm laughing every single time you're talking about people being excited for a 3D Sonic game. Just saying.
well, anyway, I guess I can stop talking about Sonic because it always comes back to Sonic somehow. But yeah, so Need for Speed. The first game was released in 1994. It was actually like a collaboration with that EA was doing with Road and Track, which is a car magazine. And it was the only game in the series to be like a car simulation experience, where they had gosh, who was it? They had collaboration with Road and Track to have some of their drivers handle like the dynamics tuning of like the cars and stuff. So like what makes it understeer, what makes it oversteer, how these cars actually handle. And apparently they did such a good job that it's still considered pretty impressive by today's standards. So good job. That's pretty cool. But after that, it made a bunch of money, and they went, okay, let's make this more like fun and easy to handle, like maybe arcadey. So they came out with a bunch of weird, like there was like a Porsche only Need for Speed, and they keep trying different formulas. Some of them are hits, some of them are misses. There was that, what was that one that came out for the 360 that everything was tinged in piss?
That just sounds like every game that came out for the Xbox
You know what I'm
360,
talking
so you
like
have to be a bit more specific.
the whole game has this like sepia filter over it, and everything just looks like piss, which is really sad because apparently it was like one of the better games.
That's crazy. I'm gonna say is how bad is that you're setting the bar that low when it comes to an actual racing game when out of the gate, well, the first few years out of the gate, you do the Porsche racing game. Now look, I drive
Yeah.
a Subaru, and I'm saying that a Porsche looks fucking stupid.
Yeah, I think I had the Porsche one on PC back in the day, and the thing is like there would always be like a PC port and a PlayStation port. I think the original game came out first on the 3DO, Like, who had a fucking 3DO? Like,
I was gonna
so
say there are three levels of gamers. There are people who had 3DO, there are people who had Neo Geo, there are people that had computers, and then there was everybody else in the actual console game at the time, aka the
yeah,
other 90% of the market. So yeah, no, you're not
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. So I mean, it's an EA. You know, they're always doing weird stuff that piss you off. But Need for Speed, with how many games they've had, there's obvious hits and obvious misses. Um, but yeah, they, I mean, obviously have done well for themselves. It's like Elmer said, one of the highest grossing franchises for video games. So, yeah, I couldn't really find anything out about the development. Well, that's the way she goes sometimes. Sometimes everyone just locks their lips. So.
EA, get into contact with me because you know how to get into contact with me after this. Lebbi, I might have just had the thing to save their franchise, the idea for it.
Oh boy.
We may be 2 weeks out from spooky season, but oh baby, we might have one way to make Need for Speed a little spooky.
Oh boy. What's
Think
that?
about okay. The original Need for Speed Hot Pursuit ported to the PC in about 1998. One of the levels, you're driving around a backlot, a Hollywood backlot. And one of the things, if you stop by what looks to be an abandoned mine area, when you're driving through like a desert, there are spooky eyeballs staring at you through these slats in the boarded off mine.
Uh huh.
Hear me out. EA, if you make a jump scare car simulator, like all of a sudden you're driving along and you're going and you check periphery, whoop, and then you look back and there's, Samara from The Ring standing in the middle of the road. Come on, how many freaking streamers are they going to play that game, 6 ways to Sunday? Or you have it, oh shit, I got to go through this tunnel. All of a sudden the tunnel gets smaller and smaller and smaller. You have to go through more lanes. You have to try to pass the person in front of you, knock that person off the road. Come on,
Oh,
make a
like
horror
a
game.
yeah, like a battle royale racing game.
Horror racing game. Come on, you can do it, EA. You got it in you.
Yeah, that would actually be a pretty cool concept. Which now that you say horror racing game, kind of reminds me of that game I mentioned last time, um, Motor Doom. That
Oh,
Tony Hawk
yes.
dirt bike game sounds awesome. That's also a roguelike shooter. Just
If you don't get to play as the Headless Horseman, Evil Knievel, I would be so angry, but I know both Zombie Evil Knievel as well as the Headless Horseman, I have got to be unlockable characters in that game. Just saying.
Yeah, no, I'm pumped about that one. But yeah, I guess that's all I got about the game. Unless you have anything to add.
Not really. I mean, you kind of covered the bases in terms of how they stem from like a farmer simulation, moving on up from there. So, no, you got it, man.
All
We had
right.
enough side tangents and side tracks. I think we're plugging along quite well in this episode.
Yeah, now we get to get into the meat and potatoes of it, Elmer. What'd you find out about this movie?
Well,
Oh boy.
before we talk about this movie, I'm going to talk about one of the highest grossing franchises in world history when it comes to film. And that is a little film series that started in 2001 called The Fast and the Furious. And before I talk about The Fast and the Furious, I'm going to talk about a movie that came out in 1991 called Point Break, starring Patrick Swayze and one Keanu Reeves. Let's just say that movie had middling box office returns, but at the same time had quite the staying power when it came to audiences who saw it and the people who caught it on VHS, TV, and cable afterwards. Anyway, in the mid-1990s, an article came out in a couple of car racing magazines about the underground car racing scenes around the Austin, Texas, as well as the Southern California areas. With this actual magazine article, which to this day there's a lot of hearsay saying how true it actually is, Universal latched onto it and went, oh, we might have something here. So they reached out to the now canceled director of Dragonheart and went, Rob Cohen, make this movie. And he went, wait, you want me to make a movie about a car racing article? They said, yeah, but put it to the point of Point Break, or the story of Point Break with Keanu Reeves. Okay. And so that's how we got the Fast and the Furious franchise, which you watch that movie now, and they're trying to steal VHS players and DVD players off the back of a freight truck with their cars. Oh, it is so funny compared to the crap they're getting into these days.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen the last few Fast and Furious movies because I can't remember what the last one I saw was, but they're like on a plane with the CIA and like you know it it's just gotten it's gone down such a rabbit hole that I feel like doesn't deserve to keep happening. But
You're saying this with a straight face, which is beyond you, because if you try to sum up any given Fast and the Furious franchise with a straight face, looking someone dead in the eye, dead in the camera or whatnot, oh, it's just a thing of beauty. It is literally a series where international law enforcement is dealt utilizing cars.
yeah, yeah, and racing, yeah,
I had the luck of being able to see the last, or as of now, the last Fast the franchise movie, or Fast and the Furious franchise movie, which was back, I want to say in July of 2021 there. I got to see that baby on the big screen, and oh, lordy, how I tell you, I thought I was having an embolism for half the time for some of the shit they were pulling off in that. They go to space in a Miata, Lebby.
oh,
Space in a Miata.
all
Clint
right.
Eastwood's son straps rocket engines to a Miata. And Ludacris and Tyrese go to space.
God, stop! What are you doing? The words you're saying make me angry.
Is it bad that if you were anyone else, you'd have no idea? Words I would be saying right now would not make any sense, but because you are who you are, you know that these words, they both make sense, but they don't make sense.
Oh man,
And
I
that's still
mean,
not the craziest end of the movie. The end of the movie turns out Paul Walker's still alive. Not Paul Walker, but his character is still alive in the end of that movie. And we're like, what was the point of the seventh one, man?
yeah, I don't know. I this Need for Speed felt a lot like a Fast and the Furious like ripoff.
And you are correct, because around that same time, Paul Walker famously, sadly, passed away in a horrific car accident in the middle part of 2013, right before the release of the seventh Fast and the Furious movie. Around that same time, Disney kind of was getting cold feet because they just purchased Star Wars from Lucasfilm, and they were building up to purchasing 20th Century Fox. They were kind of going through the growing pains at that point of the Marvel films, and they went, hey, maybe we can get ourselves a Fast and the Furious franchise movie. And they turned around and they went, hey, EA, what can you do for us? Because remember, they are also the people that helped to finance us a little film called The Prince of Persia.
Oh God, don't remind me. I like Jake Gyllenhaal, but that uh no. Don't make a white guy playing Egyptian guy. Please.
So with this film, they actually went kind of the smart route, and I will give it to them. The director of it is actually a very experienced stunt actor, stunt coordinator, as well as person who has a know-how in terms of practicality within the special effects field, which I actually give this movie a lot of kudos on that. With that, he went and he actually talked to one of the writers, who was one of the guy, or the guy who wrote this movie is actually a guy who has done a lot of really, and I mean really interesting action comedy, as well as just sort of genre film fare like that. And so I can see where they were looking at this going, let's do Fast and the Furious, but we'll do it as practical as we can. We'll utilize somebody who's actually an Academy Award winning, or Academy Award nominated screenwriter, and we're going to go into it with the idea of, oh, hey, let's make really interesting, like a car racing movie. Unfortunately, as I said to you while we were about halfway through this film, dear God, this feels like Smokey and the Bandit with fetal alcohol syndrome. Uh, yeah, let's put it this way. Everything it shot for, it missed at, minus a lot of the, and I mean a lot of the actual practical effects in this. We actually got to see physical cars go end over end, crashing, going off of jumps, ramps, and stuff like that. That was pretty cool. Unfortunately, whoever the hell they hired for a cinematographer and an editor on this film made it feel so choppy. It was, oh, that was hard to watch.
Yeah, this whole movie was a bit rough, but I think we've seen worse. We've seen worse.
We've seen worse, but let's put it this way: with this much pedigree behind it, this is like one of the first times I've actually felt disappointed.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I thought it was gonna be a bit better than it was, but
I mean, with the excitement both of us felt when all of a sudden we looked over and we're like, is that fucking Dominic Cooper? Or we're like, oh, it's battling AMC series actors. It's Breaking Bad versus Preacher.
yeah, and
Yay!
Michael Keaton. I was like, Michael Keaton's in this. What this?
And you
then
told me that, and I'm like, wait, what? Does Michael Keaton's in this? And then
yeah,
we
then
found
what's his
out.
game? Remy Malik.
Yeah, fucking Freddie Mercury playing a gearhead. We're like, rat.
Yeah, so we're like, okay, this is gonna be okay.
And then it wasn't okay.
No.
And then we found out halfway through it, we're like, well, we're an hour into it. At least we've got, what, a half hour into it? And then I checked the timestamp, and I'm like, oh, God, we've got an hour left to go. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was rough. Um, I guess so. If you haven't seen it yet, don't. I'll say that off the bat. So we'll summarize it a bit for you. Uh, Jesse Pinkman, Aaron Paul. He's like some talented driver. It starts off with explaining how he can't find a car fast enough for him. He's such a good driver. Whatever.
and on
He's
top
like,
of that, he's inherited his father's auto customization business
Yeah.
in terms of doing highly in tune race cars and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. So they make this Mustang that has 900 horsepower.
Yeah, and they sell it to the son of the original Shelby designer from the 1960s, the original Mustang Shelby.
They give this Mustang 900 horsepower because it's 2014 and Mustangs are cool.
Hey, and just remember, as I told you, come on, if they would have used a Camaro, it would have looked like a goddamn economy car driving by, and they'd be like, who? Like, wow, that is the loudest Corolla I've ever seen. It's a Camaro! And I have friends who own sixth generation Camaros, and I still tell them the same thing. Dude, you look like you're driving a fucking Oldsmobile.
Yeah, so they make this crazy Mustang. They sell it for like almost $3 million or something like that. And then Jesse Pinkman and one of his like mechanics or something get in a race with this guy who owns a competing auto customization place, whatever, for like supercars.
Jesse Pinkman and a kid who looks like he just stepped off the set of a Twilight movie wearing a Canadian tuxedo. They start driving high-end Bugattis against Jesse Custer from the Preacher series. Thank you, Dominic Cooper, for showing up in this, which Dominic Cooper without a beard just looks weird. It's
Yeah, it was weird.
It's like Sam Elliott without a mustache. It's just like, what? No.
But yeah, so they're racing these Koenigsegg's like supercars and stuff, and the guy with the competing auto place ends up like he's losing, so he like hits Jesse Pinkman's mechanic, and his car blows up. The guy drives away, and Jesse Pinkman goes to prison for murdering his friend because there was nobody else there.
Because that's how auto wrecks work, especially when the car you're driving has no damage to it that would correspond to the
Yep.
damage that would. Yeah.
Yeah, and he like told them like, no, this is the guy that was driving this car. Like this is what happened, and they don't like investigate at all. They're just like, no, that's not what happened. So I
I
don't know.
mean,
It's very
yeah,
silly. The whole movie does stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, but then yeah, he gets out of prison immediately. He calls the person that bought the Mustang and convinces them to let him race it in this race against the guy. So that because if he beats this guy in a race, then it's not like he killed his friend, right? Like I don't know. It's it's revenge. He's got to beat him in a race anyway. So basically, the whole movie is them like driving this Mustang across the country and running from the cops and doing ridiculous things like refueling without stopping like an aircraft because they can't lose the minute and a half that would take.
And
Um,
on top of that, not only are they just driving along some sort of scenic, you know, north or sorry, southwestern vista where you've got all kinds of different buttes, mountains, and stuff like that in the background. But no, you're also passing every single Winnebago as you're, refueling on a two-lane highway, and it's just like, no.
yeah, I half expected "Life Is a Highway" to start playing at some point during this movie, but
I would
surprise,
have shot
surprise.
my TV if that fucking song would have came on, and that's not an over exaggeration. I would have been like, I would have screamed, "Podcast over!" Shot my TV, and then it would have been like, "Okay, yeah, no, we're gonna take a refresher."
Well, good news, Elmer. There was almost no music in this entire movie.
I kept making jokes to you this entire time because I should say, while we were watching this, Lebby and I were going back and forth, just basically ripping at a new asshole via text message. And I kept telling him the entire time, dude, why are we watching the fake Fast and the Furious movie when we should be watching the real one, made in 1999 by the gentleman who gave us the masterpiece that is Swordfish? And the entire time, Lebby keeps going, no, no, I hate Nicolas Cage. No, no, no. Hey, man, at least Gone in 60 Seconds actually had music by the Crystal fucking Method in it. Like
It's true.
every single Need for Speed game had until Underground in 2006.
Well, and the thing is, I wouldn't say that I hate Nicolas Cage. I don't like him, but I do enjoy a few of his movies because he's just such a ridiculous human that it's kind of just interesting to me. Anyway,
But hey, in
yeah, I
this
think
one, I get to go down on John Voight's daughter, good old Angelina Jolie, where she's got white girl dreads in it. How does that count as a masterpiece? Me
yeah.
saying that woke my dog up, and she's looking at me disgusted. So sorry, sorry, listening audience.
Yeah, no. So you kept saying that we should be watching that instead. I kept saying that we should be watching the Hot Wheels movie instead because the plot was pretty much ripped right out of the Hot Wheels movie. Um, and
Oh God, you're
yeah, I
not
don't know. And then
wrong.
there was that guy. It was the friend of theirs that flies around in his Cessna plane, giving them traffic updates because you can do that from a Cessna. Um, and at certain points of the movie, all of a sudden he's in like a news helicopter that he borrowed from a friend, and then he's in like a like an Apache helicopter that he borrowed from a friend, and it's like how like it just so much ridiculousness with this movie.
What he was actually in was he was in a version of what we like to call Marine One, which I can't remember the name. It's something something Hercules, which is a heavy lift helicopter utilized to this day by the United States military. The passenger version of that is actually Marine One, which is what is actually used as a helicopter platform for the United States president. So he was inside this heavy lift helicopter. He flies over Jesse Pinkman and Imogen Poots, aka, as I kept calling her the entire movie, either what was it, Corduroy Polly Pocket or
Yeah,
oh, that's what it was, Motley Crue groupie Barbie.
yeah.
He flies over the top of them with it. lowers down two cables and tells them hook them together. So they hook them together through
Yeah.
the
Like
cab of the
through the
car.
windows. Yeah.
Literally, it's just two cables with a hook. Not even a carbiner hook, but just a hook and a fucking chain link. Hooks them together. They lean back. And I am not kidding when I say this, people. They go over the same cliff Thelma and Louise did, which before they did that, I sent Lebbi the message. There ain't no way in hell they're going to Thelma and Louise this shit.
Oh, it's so ridiculous. And
They
they just
Thelma and Louise that shit.
drive off this cliff. And it's like that would rip the roof of the car off, first of all.
And as I messaged you, I'm like, well, I mean, it is a sport, or I mean, it is a high-speed custom race frame, but simultaneously, I'm like, no, it's still the fucking roof. It's designed to collapse inward, not go outward. So yeah, no, that should still rip the shit out of that frame.
Yeah, but
Oh, God.
I don't know. Just this movie was filled with stuff like that, and it was really really frustrating to experience. This movie made me cringe and cringe and cringe. Um, and eventually, I will skip a lot of this movie, but eventually they find the car that the bad guy was driving when he hit his friend and killed him. They find it, and instead of just going to the police with the car, he uses it in the race against this guy. And this scene is the only good scene in the movie. They're racing like a Bugatti, a McLaren's, a Ferrari, all this stuff.
They're going through like actual classic areas from
Yeah.
the Need for Speed games. Like they're actually going through like a redwood forest where I'm like, oh shit, this actually feels like Need for Speed.
Yeah. And the cops get involved because they're trying to stop the race, and so like there's crashes and jumps and explosions.
There's kids at a school bus singing along to like some crappy theme,
Yeah.
or like singing along thing, and it's like, yay! And they're pointing out the window as fucking Bugattis are driving by. It's just like, no, this is what the entire movie should have been.
Yeah, and it's not like it was that good, but it was the best part of the movie, so I appreciated it. But yeah, everyone gets knocked out of the race except for him and the guy. The guy ends up crashing his car, and instead of winning the race, Jesse Pinkman stops and turns around and helps the guy out of his car before it explodes because he's such a better person that he couldn't let him die or whatever. And then he finishes the race. And since he beat him in a race, now that means that everyone's going to know that he's the murderer somehow. Because he has the car with the damage. But, like, I don't know. It was just so ridiculous.
Because that's exactly how Double Jeopardy works.
Yep. Just the whole movie was ridiculous. It ended on a good note, though. And then that's kind of it.
Ended on a good note for who? The audience or the people in the movie?
The people in the movie.
Yeah, no, it didn't end on a good note for us. That post-credit sequence thing came on, and I just went, yeah, I'm going to go take a shower now.
Yeah. It wasn't the worst movie we've watched on the podcast, but
most disappointing, probably.
yeah, I think you know what we're gonna say. Bop or flop, Elmer.
This thing flopped harder than my catalytic converter did along Highway 95 this afternoon. So yeah, no, this was a hard sit and a half, especially for 2 hours for a fucking car racing movie. No.
Yeah, it was not good. Flop for me also. Just really disappointing. I mean, I knew it was gonna be bad going into it, but I didn't know it was gonna be this bad. If you can turn off your brain and you like cars, you might like it more than we did, but it's still not a good movie.
At least with other car racing movies, I mean, let's put it this way. At least with, say, like Drive, or the Fast and the Furious franchise, or the original Grand Theft Auto, or hell, even the original Fast and the Furious, both Fast and the Furious movies.
Yeah.
You know, the original one and the remake. Let's put it this way. When you watch that, they go in the ins and outs of cars and stuff like that. This is just, you know, like models or people who are like famous actors spouting off car nonsense, and you're like, no, you're just reading that off a script. You're not actually saying anything about said cars you're driving, so to speak. So at least, you know, car lingo and stuff like that, they're up on that in other movies. This feels no pun intended, this is Stock Car the movie.
Yeah, I mean, even the movie, it felt like phoned in and empty and just
It feels
it.
stock. That's the best way of
Yeah,
putting it. It feels stock.
it was it was not great, but
Thanks, Disney.
yeah. Thanks Disney. I'll be deleting this from my hard drive tonight. We won't have to watch this one again. And there was supposed to be a sequel. Um, I think the sequel was written, but production never started on it. And IMDb still says like in production, but it's been like 7 years. So
I
hopefully a
could,
second one doesn't come.
I could see two things that would have ended up crashing that movie, no pun intended. One, Michael Keaton, aka the best part of this movie, which unfortunately all he was doing is he was playing the race car version of Alex fucking Jones. And now with the Alex Jones saga coming to full completion right now, thank Christ, I can see that that is not exactly going to play well great in the future.
Yeah.
Two, this movie somehow made over $200 million at the box office.
Yeah.
International box office, this movie did barely even made its budget back here in the United States.
Thanks,
The
China.
rest of that was overseas.
Yeah.
I've said it once, I'll say it again. We need to cut off our actual shipping as well as international, well, pretty much consecutive rights to China. Because please, China, stop. Between this and Transformers, you're fucking killing our entire film industry. Stop it!
Yeah. Not to mention what they're doing to their own citizens, but I won't get into that.
Well, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to be that real, but if you
Thanks,
insist.
Xi Jinping.
Alrighty, so how do we feel about the country of Taiwan? I'm going to stop now.
All right. Well, I think that's a good place to end it. Don't watch the movie. If you do, we warned you. But I mean, it's not the worst thing. So, we still haven't decided what we're doing next. But now that we've gotten such a stinker out of the way, we'll watch something at least mediocre. I think so. Stay tuned.
Better Yuva Bowl? No.
We could do another Uva Bowl movie. But yeah, if you wanna find us on YouTube or anywhere to listen to us, go to gamelink.click and check us out. If you want to catch us live, it's twitch.tv/Lebbi. And we'll see you next week. Have a great week, folks.
Stay safe, stay sexy. See you, folks.